Oh, Nick, sorry. Nick, thank you, Nick. Uh, okay, guys. So I was not recording, and I did a blah 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 for a long time. So I was giving a, although that blah 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 was very important, blah blah, right? So critical actually. So what I was talking about that we created accounts last week, and then they were 30-day trial versions, and after that you will be converted to pay as you go. Second thing I was talking about is that we are doing virtual machines here. Name of the game is no fear. So you need to not be reckless, but you need to be very careful. But you need to repeat all the complicated labs at least 2 times. A third thing I was saying that we're going to create a virtual machine here quickly, and we were talking about virtual machine preset configuration, which is if you have created a golden image and you can just use that configuration from that to create a new virtual machine. Then there is Azure Arc. Azure Arc just shows that if you're in the cloud, from cloud you can also take care of virtual machines here. Then I also shared a link for VMware course that I'm doing in Humber College, and you can follow all the labs as soon as possible for their gun from the channel. So I shared that link in the WhatsApp. But Arc is that you can monitor on-premises machines as well. There you need to better know how VMware works, because ultimately it's gonna haunt you if you don't know that. Right? And then there is Azure VMware Solution. So that's where we were, and I started the recording. Thank you, Nick. Actually, reminded me. And please do remind me, guys. I'm not a very young fella. I'm actually 75. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so here, Azure VMware Solution, a virtual machine. So create a VMware. So VMware is so. Hey, no, I'm not 57 as well. Come on. He says 57. Yeah, here, guys, I was talking so much about VMware. I shared my VMware course as well, free for you. But here, there you go. Azure VMware Solution virtual machine. It's so important that Azure has to offer this on Azure. Hey, if you have in your company VMware virtual machines, then why don't you create those virtual machines with VMware features here on top of Azure as well? They're just going to charge you the underlying hardware usage fees. So it's that important. Anyway, let's go to Azure Virtual Machine. I'm going to click that now, and go. So now here you can see that basics, disk, networking, management, monitoring, advanced tags, review plus create. There are so many features there. Now here, subscription, if we go for Azure Subscription 1, yes, there could be multiple subscriptions here as well. Suppose, and what is subscription? Subscription is just your billing account that is attached to you. And also, let me just move this away and make a duplicate of this. So subscription is first thing, right? So when we create this account, obviously we had to get a subscription. And here, if I go to, there is a subscription, the yellow key, right? So in subscription, you see that, and then you see subscription ID here, and then in the subscription, you can just see this. There's cost analysis here, and then budgets and billing. So what resources are you using that is costing you whatever it costs you? Then there are some policies that subscription also offers that you can put there. Suppose you cannot create in certain region because obviously some junior administrator came, oh, let me see that, how to create that virtual machine in a West US. How does it look like? And while not realizing that it will cost company a lot. One programmer, one developer in our company, he's no longer here in our company, but he created a service and just for test purposes. And after a few months, we discovered that it was costing us $10,000 per month. That service, $10,000 per month. So then we deleted that service, and we asked that, hey, who created and why? And I was just testing that. Did you see the cost? No, developer said. So the thing is that you can create policies there that from now on, we're not going to, nobody will be able to create any service other than certain regions, and you can just say that, okay, Canada Central and Canada East. Suppose you're in Canada, right? So management certificates you can do in subscriptions. Permissions you can give resource providers. Deployments, even from the subscription level deployments, you can do from there. But anyway, subscription is there. Billing account is connected there, but also you can put some policies that within this subscription, because costs are associated to a subscription. So within this subscription, what you can do and what you cannot do. You can also check that out. So I'm just going to go back to what we were doing. And there's a Azure subscription here. Then there's a resource group. Very, very important thing. And maybe by now AWS has created that. But this is something that was very useful, I found, in Azure. So what is this? Resource group is just group of resources. There you go. Okay. Yes, it is like that. But if I go to resource groups here and just try to show you in the other screen, so there are resource groups here. That's in the favorites. So that's one of the services. And what it does is, okay. So resource group is just group of resources. Not only that, but suppose what you're doing here is, suppose I just make a diagram and annotate that. So suppose you started a project called project tour. So there's a project tour. Oh, in this project we need, suppose, 500 VMs and 20 databases. And in this project, we need 5 storage accounts, SAs. We're going to be creating storage accounts later, but storage account basically is to store data. And other than that, so suppose these are the resources that you need. So many VMs. We're just creating one VM, right? 500 VMs, seriously? So maybe that's a huge project and they have a big budget for that. Now, this project name is Project Tour. So you can create it. You can create a resource group by that name, Project Tour Resource Group. And whatever resources related to Project Tour, you create, you attach, you assign a resource group that, or to that resource, or suppose you're creating first virtual machine, assign it to the resource group called Project Tour. So whatever resources you're creating, if you attach it to the specified resource group called Project Tour, so those resources you can find under resource group, whatever name you gave this. Right? So resource group just helps you manage the resources that you're creating. If you, during the creation of the resource, if you assigned it to that resource group. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do that a lot. So then you will understand. Second thing is, resource group level, you can put some policies that, suppose for Project Tour, it's normally it's a project, Toronto, some project going on in Toronto, and the company policy, because of data residency, is that you're gonna create resources in Canada Central region only, not even in Canada East. So then you can create a policy on resource group level as well, that nobody can create those. Okay, there's a question. Order says, please can we roll back a bit and summarize types of VM to have on the video? What is AZVM with preset? We talked about that, right? We're going to do a lab actually on that. So we're going to go through that. But what types of VMs were? I think I did not cover that in the video. That's what you're saying. Okay, let me just finish this topic and then we're going to go back. So here, resource group we're talking about, and then what I'm trying to say, that whatever resources are related to a certain project or certain group or certain kind of central management. So you give that name. Suppose it's all the resources are for sales department. You create resource group called sales department and then assign all the resources to the sales department. So resource group is also used where underlying hardware is used. So you have to group the sources together so you could know that, oh, these are all the resources and what kind of charges we are getting in the subscription. But when you gather all the resources in a group. So you have to, it's a must thing. You have to create a resource group for that. And one other very, very important thing is that suppose, well, the project is finished, right? You don't need all these resources now. What do you do? 500 virtual machines you need to delete. So either you can go ahead, delete one virtual machine, second virtual machine, third virtual machine, and then go for delete one database, second database, and then delete one storage account, second storage account, or you attached all these resources to a resource group, right? Why don't you just delete the resource group itself, a few clicks, and the whole set of resources also gets deleted with the resource group. We're going to do that at the end of the class as well. We're going to be creating resources with the resource group. At the end of the class, we're going to just simply go to the resource group. We're going to delete that. All the resources attached to this resource group will be deleted as well. So that's the significance of a resource group. And I will take this screenshot. Then for the video, I'll just repeat that of the types of virtual machines. Let me just put that in resource groups, and I'll put a good reader URL here as well. Okay, if I go to the duplicate tab here and go to the virtual machines here, so according to since we are recording now, so in the recording we did not cover that. So create a virtual machine hosted by Azure. This is what we're doing now. Just one single virtual machine, one by one you want to create, then you go here. Second thing is the Azure virtual machine with preset configuration. Create a virtual machine with presets based on your workloads. So presets are just configurations that were created before. Suppose I just go there and it says that what kind of configuration you want. There are sets or already predefined configurations. You select from anyone, or the other option was that we were creating there. Here we define everything ourselves. What is the processor you need? What is the RAM you need? What's the network you need? Here, when we go, so what kind of is it a dev test machine? Is it a production environment machine? And do you want high availability in a dev test? No, I don't want high availability. So there are some features, advanced features, that will charge you more, but do you really even need that? So you can decide from here. It's going to ask you questions and then select a workload. So suppose I go, it's a production environment machine. So I select that, right? Or it's a dev machine, so I can select that, right? So suppose it's production, and then, oh, it's a memory optimized machine because I need a lot of memory because of the application that is installed on the virtual machine. So I'm going to go select that, or I can select that. Just compute optimized. So you need to know, and then continue to create a VM. So preset just means they have already given you certain configurations according to your possible requirements. That's called preset. Right? So I'm just going to go back here. We're not doing it now. We're just still doing the first one. Then the third one is the Arc virtual machine, which is if you click that, yeah, let me say it's kind of lowered package. All it says just to summarize them briefly. Yeah, sure. So the third one is Arc virtual machine, where it says that, hey, you have Azure Stack deployed here, or you have VMware vSphere environment, or you have SCVMM environment. Now, since we are in here, so let me explain a bit more briefly. What is that? Since now we're talking about, guys, again, we're talking about types of VMs, but since we're here, let me just explain. So next time when you're coming here, you would know what you're seeing here, right? So the first thing is, Arc says that, hey, do you have in your on-premises infrastructure, in your branch, local branch, VMware vSphere, or do you have Azure Stack installed there, or you have SCVMM installed there? So yeah, we understand that a local branch may have a lot of virtual machines with VMware. What is Azure Stack and what is SCVMM? So Azure Stack is that we can download Azure software, right? Download Azure the software, right? So the whole Azure environment service, download Azure application, or we can say as not as a normally when we use it is like it's an online service. So Azure software or stack. Now, what does that mean? So what we are doing now is when we are creating a virtual machine there, right? So software, or we can say OS, not OS as well. So how does it work? Azure Stack. You have to have your own hardware that Microsoft has recommended. Please buy Dell. Suppose Dell machines with it has to be 16 core processor. It has to have 1 terabyte RAM. It has to have this company's or maybe Dell storage as well. So if you have that Azure Microsoft recommended software, Azure Stack recommended software, so first buy your own hardware. Right? Once you bought that, then buy a license to install the whole Azure services as a stack or as a software. So what you will do is you will be installing Azure on your own hardware, and that Azure stack would be looking exactly like what we're doing now. So see, we saw that there's home, there are 200 plus services there. So whole Azure infrastructure as a service that you were seeing there, you can actually download that as a software and then install it on your own hardware. It's gonna exactly work like as it is working now. We are creating virtual machines. We are going to Azure Active Directory. We are going to create storage. We're going to create databases. So Azure Stack is just a software version of the whole Azure infrastructure that you can download. But then, if the hardware goes down, you are the one who are going to manage that. You're the one who's going to hire administrators of your own. Right now, if underlying hardware, the data center or the availability zone, that is they're having an outage, so Microsoft engineers handle that, right? Underlying hardware is handled by Microsoft engineers. In that case, Azure Stack, you download this whole Azure infrastructure as a software on your own hardware, and then you hire your own engineers to manage the whole environment. And this Azure Stack always is connected with the actual Azure, actual Azure, which is the Azure cloud. You can download Azure as a software and install it on your own hardware as well. That's Azure Stack. And then there is that VMware service. Just like VMware is a virtualization solution, right? Microsoft's rival for VMware is Hyper-V. And Hyper-V, so VMware has a central management software called vCenter. There's a central management software. There's a big software. It's expensive called vCenter. So Microsoft has created its rival software called SCVMM. So SCVMM, System Center Virtual Machine Manager, is a big application that controls the virtualized environment of Microsoft. VMware vCenter, actually, I should just mention it here. The VMware vCenter, right? VMware Center centrally manages the branch on-premises VMware environment. Its rival virtualization software in the local branches is SCVMM, and it does the same thing. If you have Microsoft Hyper-V virtual machines, it's going to centrally manage that. If you have VMware virtual machines, vCenter will manage that, right? So that's the difference. If you have any of these three environments in your local branch, then you use Azure Arc, the central management platform, to keep an eye on the virtual machines in your branch, whether they belong to VMware company or Azure Stack, Azure's own software downloaded here on your own hardware, or Hyper-V, which is also Microsoft's on-premises virtualization solution. So that's what the Arc is used for. And the thing is, guys, you should be very knowledgeable about whatever comes your way. So it's a good thing to then know a bit more detail that what is what. So I'm going to go back here to the virtual machines, and then there is that VMware solution. That is just simply saying that Azure VMware Solutions provides you with private clouds that contain vSphere clusters built from dedicated bare metal Azure infrastructure. All provisioned private clouds have vCenter Server, vSAN, vSphere, and NSXT. Now these are vCenter is the central management software from VMware. Pretty big application, expensive license. That's the lab we are doing in Hamburg. What is vCenter? What is vSAN? What is vSphere? Right. So it just says that Azure will connect your on-premises in the branch environment, and then you can collaborate between cloud and VMware vCenter. So that's what this is all about, right? So I'm just going to go back here. We talked about virtual machines and the types of virtual machines here, or whatever the scenario you have. I'm going to go back now to the create a virtual machine. That's what we were doing. Manually, one by one, you can create virtual machine. Okay. So we were talking about resource group. So we're going to be creating a resource group now. So those who are following, let's click the create new here. And normally what happens is that at the end of the class, please do remind me to delete the resource group as well. If I forget, then that will be not good. So a resource group, normally we can just go for your first name and then dash 15 OCT 22 RG dash RG, right? So we can resource group with that date. So obviously it will be your first name there, not my first name. The rest is okay. And once you have put that name there, I'm just going to press OK here. It's today's date, so we will know that it was done today. This task related to this resource group was done today. So, but this virtual machine will be attached to this resource group. You will see at the end when we delete the resource group that how easy or how good it is, how useful it is. Go for the instance details now, and there's a virtual machine that we're creating now. So you can go for your first name VM01, then the region, and in the region choose the Azure region that's right for you and your customers. Not all VM sizes are available in all regions. So suppose we are deploying we're in an insurance company and we're deploying an insurance company big application, right? And it needs maybe 64 bit architecture, and it needs a 8 core processor and maybe 756 GB RAM. So some of the regions Microsoft says do not provide full range of hardware. So East US is having pretty much every advanced feature available there. They have more bigger data centers there, and they have invested more there. Underlying hardware is fully available, so all the features on top of it are also available. But we will initially start following our data residency policy of the company. We're going to go to Canada Central, that is nearest to us. So I'm just going to put Canada and Central here. So just type here Canada and then go ahead, Canada Central. Once you put Canada Central here, then comes availability options. So availability options, what are those? Obviously, the name says here, options for the machines to stay available, right? Now, for that availability options, Azure offers a range of options for managing availability and resiliency for your applications. Architect your solution to use replicated VMs in availability zones or availability sets to protect your apps and data from data center outages and maintenance events. So they're just saying that your machine should be highly available either across the zones or across the data centers. So what availability options would you want? Okay, I'm going to click that, and there's a learn more option here as well, right? There's a URL here. So I'm just going to click that. Availability options for Azure virtual machines. So this is something there are much bigger high availability options also coming your way. This is also a good read when you're creating a virtual machines. So VM availability options, and go ahead and try to read about it and try to understand it. But obviously, we're gonna also do the same. So applies to Linux VMs, Windows VMs, flexible scalable sets, scale sets, and uniform scale sets. So we're gonna be doing a separate lab on scale sets. Okay, so there are questions. Let me say, is Canada Central not showing up in the region? Guys, is Canada Central? Naveed, why did you tell us that you're from Canada? So if you are from US or Mexico, so you should have told us, right? Yeah, I'm just kidding. So here, how come this is not showing here? I mean, Naveed, Canada, you can go ahead and type that, right? The search. Everyone sees Canada, right? Only see US. Nick says only sees US West and Europe. Asia. What? Okay, that's weird. What? You can see Canada? Might be free. I had similar issue before. You can log off and log in again. There you go, David. Thank you. Thank you, David, for sharing that. Yes, sign out, sign in. Yes, it is possible. Even whenever it's doing something weird, always just simply sign out, sign in. So the usual 2-decade solution by Microsoft, restart. Okay, so sign out, sign in from Azure. So how do you sign out, sign in? Just go here on the top right, and then there's a sign out, and then just sign in. Then come back here, create virtual machine. Your resource group will still be available there. Did you select anything during creation? Okay, virtual machine. Yeah, the region should be available. So please do confirm. After sign out, sign in, you're able to see the region. Right? Anyone else who is not seeing the region, or anyone else who has seen the regions? Mhm. Following and has seen the regions. Oh, okay, maybe those two are just following, others are just watching. So Xavier says, I have Canada Central and Canada East. Thank you, Xavier, for sharing that. Okay. Says log off worked. I see Canada. Oh, man. Okay, David, thank you very much. So thank you for sharing and T-shoot and confirming. Naveed says not for me. Man. Why? So Naveed, although this is not even related, but can you restart your machine? Or clear the cache of your browser, although why would it not show the region? But that's very weird. And what account did you create? I mean, there's only one free trial account for Azure AAS. There's only one way to create it, and yeah, so it should not cause the region to disappear. What else could we have done? Hey, your credit card is from Mexico or Brazil, or okay, just kidding. So anyway, the thing is, it should show sign out, sign in. Oh, Naveed, also sign out from every tab. Sure that suppose you signed out from just this tab, so it's not compulsory that it's going to sign out from this tab as well. So pretty much you're still logged in while you think you're signed out. So make sure you signed out from this tab, this tab, this tab, this tab. Whenever this account is signed in, you have to sign out. Make sure close the browser, then open the browser again, and then cool. Now, while Naveed is still trying, let's do the most important tab now. Most critical step now, and very quickly let's do that before he logs in. Right. Just kidding. Here, region, Canada Central, availability options. So yeah, we were just discussing availability options, but yeah, do sign in and also keep an eye on what I'm discussing, I guess. So availability zones. There are two ways you can protect your machine. So first is availability zones. Availability zones expands the level of control you have to maintain the availability of the applications and data on your VMs. An availability zone is a physically separate zone within an Azure region. There are three availability zones. So basically, in English, what they're trying to say is that, okay, where is that globe? So uh, you have, suppose there are three zones here. Suppose these are the zones, right? So they're just saying you will be choose that availability zone related option. Your virtual machine copy will be created. Virtual machine will be created in one zone, and its copy will be created in another zone. So if there's a zone level outage, then your copy of that virtual machine will still be available in the other zone. That's what they're saying here. That if you choose the availability zone related option, each availability zone has a distinct power source, its own power source, its own network, and its own cooling. By designing your solutions to use replicated VMs in zones, you can protect your app's data from the loss of a data center. If one zone is compromised, then replicated apps and data are instantly available in another zone. Simple. So your data or application virtual machine will be in two zones, not one zone. If there's a zone level outage, then, and my very professional diagram here. So that was showing that there is one region, Canada East, suppose, and this is one availability zone 1, availability zone 2, and AZ3, and there are data centers inside, right? So if this availability zone or AZ goes down, your application's copy was already created in the other zone, and you will be redirected to the other zone, and you will still be able to work on your application or access your data from the other zone. The replicated copy was already there, right? So keep that structure in mind, and then we're talking about these features. Virtual machine scale set. Scale set is very cool feature. We're going to do a lab on that. But if I could briefly mention, scale set just means that if your virtual machine, there's a lot of customers, a lot of people connecting to your virtual machine, and there's a lot of pressure, and their CPU is very high on this virtual machine, so it's going to automatically create second virtual machine and distribute the load of. Suppose there are 2,000 people connected here, and machine is getting slow, so it's going to give you automatically create another machine, which is a clone of this machine, then another machine, and will distribute 2,000 people, 500, 500, 500 here. So the pressure on the machines will be less. Okay. And so, there's another terminology that I'm about to introduce. Slow ability will be gone, right? And fast stability will be adopted. Seriously, these two are no words in the English dictionary. So yeah, if they were slow because of too many users, they'll be fast. So scale set, we're going to do a lab, and you're going to see that automatically it creates its clone. So it's pretty cool. We're not doing that lab right now. We haven't even created one virtual machine. So I will go ahead. Oh, Naveed says, no, sir. Can I select US for now? Yes. So Naveed, you can go for East US. Is the nearest after Canada Central and Canada East. In fact, even nearer than Canada East. It's just a data residency policy that would be affected, but it's a lab, so it's okay. Go for East US. Also a good thing in a way that that we will know that many of us are on Canada Central, and if there's any feature that is available actually in East US but not available in Canada Central, so we will know that too. Or if there is any kind of difference, so we will tell, hey, I see different. Right? So then comes, so first thing is availability zones. We understand that, okay, so our data will be copied across, replicated across another zone. If there's a zone level outage, then it will still be available on the other zone. Second thing is availability sets. So an availability set is a logical grouping of VMs that allows Azure to understand how your application is built to provide for redundancy and availability. So we recommended that 2 or more VMs are created within an availability set to provide for a highly available application and to meet the 99.95% Azure SLA. There is no cost for the availability set itself. You only pay for each VM instance that you create. Okay, so we're going to talk in English as well about this. But what is this SLA? Anyone knows what is SLA? And normally service level agreement. There you go. Manavi says, Hammer says, service level agreement. And nice. So about SLA, and the so I'm gonna go for images. What happens is, oh whoa, what is this? SLA. Okay, I'll just type service level agreement. There's a table for SLA that I wanted to show you quickly, and AWS and Microsoft and Azure, Google Cloud as well. They all try to follow and offer that. Okay, SLA percentages. Go there. So suppose there is okay, what kind of outages are they saying? Okay, this seems like a very clear one. And why did I click further here? Open the whole site now, and with all the advertisement. So okay, I'll just go for this and put it in the slide. So every company, especially cloud, provides SLAs here. Those SLAs, you can see that downtime per year, 99.9999% would be 32 seconds of downtime. So some companies claim that, okay, we are providing 99 point and then 5 nines there. This means that only 32 seconds of downtime you will face. If there's more than the downtime is more than that, or the machine is down, or the application is not available for more than this per year, then the company will be charged. The service provider will be charged, right? Or there will be a fine for that. So some companies say, oh, we are able to provide 99.39. So that's 5 minutes per year, 15 seconds. And it goes down to 99%, which is 3 days, 15 hours, 40 minutes. This means that this much time, yes, an application could be down. But if it is down more than that, then that service provider company will be fined. So if the company provides this means they have very good engineers there. They have provided a very good high availability solutions there, and they charge you a lot as well, because then there is very less downtime per whole year. So that's the thing here that the companies offer. And then your company, suppose you're a bank, then you will be able to go afford that kind of charges, but then you will be able to find that company if it outage more than this time. So it depends on what SLA cloud service providers, CSPs, offer to you. So for storage, so, there is availability and then storage reliability. In reliability, Microsoft says that they offer 99 point. Then there are, I think, 12 or 13 nines there. They say that data reliability we can guarantee, and so many nines are 16 nines are there. So that's like 0.1 second of possibilities there that data will not be. Suppose there's a disaster, and after that, when you see your data, oh, that data I cannot access now. It's not accessible, or it's not readable, it's not understandable, right? So some companies offer even more nines here, and they charge you more per month or per year. That's how it is. But you will see a lot of nines coming your way when you're talking about Azure providing some services here. Okay, so we were talking about availability sets here, and Microsoft says that at least we are providing you 99.95% of availability for your application. So how much does it translate to? 99.95, right? So it's 4 hours. Microsoft says that for 4 hours in 1 year, 23 minutes, maximum 4 hour 1 year, 23 minutes would be the outage time that you have to tolerate. If it is more than that, and the machines are not available, applications not available, then Microsoft will refund you some of the money that you have given. Certain percentage, 30%, it will refund if it's not able to give access to you for your applications more than this time. Yeah, so okay, so there's Naveed says that 365 1/4 times 24. What does that mean? So 365 days is there, or it's 3,651 days times 4 times 24. So normally it should be 5. But this table actually shows 4 days out of 7 days. So maybe I put a wrong table here. But SLAs, just to give an idea about SLAs, it should be 5, 365 times 5. Or it could be, they are taking out Friday or just one of the Friday in the year. They could be taking out. But yeah, it depends on the contract with which company you're doing that. This is not from Microsoft. This is just some random picture just to show the timings related to the 9/9s there. But yeah, I was also thinking, why 4 days? Why not 5 days here? So they're eating one day. But yeah, if that's how the case, then yeah, the company should do a contract with some other company. And this is not Microsoft, so we should not be confused. It should be 365 times 5 times 24. Okay, so the other thing is, Navi says the whole year, 4 hours, 20, yes, 4 hours, 23 minutes is, yeah, that's why companies charge a lot to, CSP providers, service level agreement providers charge a lot to the companies because they're saying the application of the company will be available throughout the year, every day and day and night. Also, this means that the company whose applications will be up all the time, they would be earning millions of dollars, right? Their applications are highly available. Amazon, there are billions of dollars of purchases going on. If Amazon is available 365, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and 365 days a year, if Amazon.com or .ca is available, so they are earning billions of dollars. Yeah, if there's a short outage somewhere, they're not even giving peanuts. I mean, it's even less than that what they are paying to the company to keep it available. They are earning like billions of dollars, right? So companies normally like that their applications are highly available. SLA guys have to be very careful. Okay, guys, so we're talking about availability sets here. And if I click the availability set, an availability set is a logical grouping of VMs that allows Azure to understand how your application is built. How do availability sets work? I'm just going to go down here. There are some. Okay, so screenshots still coming on the WhatsApp as well. So for availability set, what happens is this, that there's a fault domain. So what's the purpose of a fault domain? I'm just going to explain that in English. Okay. So here, so what happens is that what they're saying is that each rack, this is a rack, right? And that rack has some rack servers here or blade servers here, physical servers, right? So I've shown you the pictures of rack as well before. So those racks have this. Now, normally what happens, what is a fault domain? We talk about this in VMware as well, normally. So here, fault domain is that if this rack has a unique power supply, UPS, suppose, uninterrupted power supply, and it has one power supply source and one network source. So there's a network switch here. It has a lot of ports, right? So it has one switch and one UPS. Right? One switch, one UPS. Same is the case for this one switch, one UPS, one switch. One UPS, one switch. So what's the logic with that? Where are we going at? So the thing is, this is one rack with maybe 10 servers or 20 servers, physical servers like Dell servers or IBM servers, right? So when your virtual machine is created on their racks, so that virtual machine's copy is also created on another rack. And so what's the benefit here? So this is an active virtual machine where all the users are connected. This is a standby virtual machine or passive virtual machine, right? So what happens here is that because this rack has one source of UPS supply, so it could go down as well, right? It could go down. So if it goes down, the whole rack goes down. The whole rack goes down, your active virtual machine goes down. And you have a copy of this in another rack as well, which is another fault domain. And before going down, every whatever changes were being sent here were being copied or replicated here as well, right? This means that if you have selected availability sets option, then within a data center, there are hundreds and hundreds of racks. I showed you the data center inside with pictures, right? So now your virtual machine, when you create, automatically its copy will be created in another rack within the same data center. Across, suppose there are 10 virtual machines created, so their copies will be spread across multiple racks there. If one rack goes down, and your machine will be in another fault domain as well. So, or it could be created in a third fault domain as well. Maybe there are two copies created of your machine, so it will be then safe. And rack level outage can be avoided. Suppose they create the copy in another data center within the same availability zone. So if there's a data center level outage, then your machine will be still in another data center, but within the same availability zone. Right? But the thing is, this is a concept of fault domain, the concept of availability set, but this is on a smaller scale, right? On the data center level. Previous option was availability zone, which is having one availability zone can have 2 to 8 data centers, right? So if you have your virtual machine in one availability zone and its copy in another availability zone, that is on a higher level, right? This is on a lower level within the data center. You have a copy of your virtual machine and data across multiple fault domains, right? Okay. So that's just discussion of availability sets. I'll just do that here. VM availability options, and then this. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead. So this is a discussion for availability sets, and then availability set and then region. They're just saying that they're gonna still. You could just do a full read on this, but the discussion is just that the copies spread across the fault domains, which are just racks. Go back here, and then now if we go back to availability options, and if you go down here, they say, hey, you want to create availability zone, you want to create a availability set, which is the third option, or you want to actually create scale set. I already explained to you that scale set, and we're going to be doing a lab on that too. Scale set is just that virtual machines get created more and more automatically. If your one virtual machine has too many customers, suppose there are 10,000 people connecting to your one virtual machine, so that's too much, and the virtual machine might go very slow, right? In that case, it just automatically creates another virtual machine, then another virtual machine automatically. And then it divides all the people to 3 or 5 or 10 virtual machines. So instead of one virtual machine having 10,000 users, virtual machine will have 1,000 users, right? If there are 10 virtual machines extra created automatically. That is called scale set, automatically scales, which is good, but we're going to talk about it later. Right now, if we select availability zone, it's going to ask that which the 3 zones you want to create this virtual machine on. Okay, so there is a comment in the chat. Tim says, I don't see the Canada region despite signing out and signing in. Okay, Tim has issue with seeing Canada region and Naveed has issue with it. Tim says, can I just use, yes. So Tim, you can use East US region, which is what I normally consider to go to. I went for data residency policy. On the basis of that, I went for data center. Otherwise, I prefer to go to East US. It has all the features. Very strange why it is not showing Canada to students. Strange. I'm also using, Nabi says, yes, Tim, I'm also using East US. He says, don't find Canada. Only West, Nabi says, okay, and showing no East. Ouch. Only West? That's even weirder. Well, you can still talk to the support as well with Microsoft support. That why in my, is it a free trial for both Tim and Naveed? So in free trials also, like actual free trial or pay as you go? Mine's free, okay. And yeah, but even in free trial, okay, both Tim and Naveed has free trials. Guys, keep changing policies in the cloud. It's from their side, right? So, and there's the screenshot in WhatsApp as well. So in free trial, there could be a possibility that they may not be able to afford free virtual machines to be created on their Canada Central region. Maybe there is already production environment. Actual customer traffic is too much on their data center that they may not offer anymore Canada Central to be used for free trials, 30 days. Anyone with free trial using Canada Central? Anyone with free trial using Canada Central? So there are 2 students who have free trial. Okay, Nick has free trial and is using Canada Central. Okay, there you go. David has free trial as well. So yes, this theory is no longer applicable that they don't have space for free trials in Canada Central. But it could be that more connections might be denied and they might, Yes, Nick. Nick says, did they log off and log in? Naveed says twice. So yes, they did that. Other than that, previous batch students, they had to, one of the students had to call Microsoft support, and then they were able to, Microsoft support was able to help them, not very quick, but they resolved it. Cool. We'll on support. Cool. Okay. So here, availability zone, and there is zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. So if I choose availability zone, then you can see it's so easy to choose here that in zone 1, if I create my first virtual machine, suppose I plan to create 10 virtual machines. So I can create one virtual machine here, and if it is in zone 1, then its copy will be creating as a replication copy or standby copy in another zone. But if I have myself and create multiple virtual machines, so I can create one virtual machine in zone 1, second virtual machine when I'm going to create in zone 2, third virtual machine I can create in zone 3. Could do that too. And their copies will be created in opposite zones, right? So that's how it is planned. Then we can, we're not going to choose availability zone because there's another lab coming, load balancing. And in the load balancing, we're going to use the availability zone feature at that time. Then I'm going to show you that, hey, now we're using availability zone feature. See this? I've created one virtual machine in one zone, and I'm creating now second virtual machine in another zone. But now we're going to go for availability set, and scale set is another upcoming lab. So you're going to see both of those in action later. I just choose availability set. So in availability set, based on your input, you might want to consider creating this resource as a virtual machine scale set, which allows you to manage, configure, and scale load balanced virtual machine. So we're not doing a load balancing lab right now. We're creating just one virtual machine right now. So that is why we're going to still stick to availability set and not scale set. Also, when you choose availability set, there's a availability set showing here. You have to name it something, right? Let's click create new and name it something. And it says here fall domains. It also says here update domains, which we haven't discussed. So I'm just going to discuss now, but let's just give a name. First name dash availability set dash one. And okay, here. So fall domains 2 are there, but there could be 3 fall domains if you want. 2 fall domains means that you create virtual machine in one rack and its copy will be created in another fall domain, right? So virtual machines in the same fall domain share a common power source and physical network switch. So 2 fall domains means that there will be a copy of your virtual machine in another fall domain, which is just meaning another rack. When I keep saying rack, so it's the HP server rack. So normally these are considered racks, and yeah, so a guy is putting a physical server in this whole rack, and these are the physical server or blade machines. So that's how you can just see that full rack server is being placed inside. So those racks we're talking about here. So one rack, your virtual machine will be created on any server in one rack, and its copy could be created in another rack on the other side here or next one up to them. So I'm going to go back here and update domains. There's another thing called update domains, which also has pretty much the same meaning here, and you can see here UD or update domain is also showing here. So basically what they're saying is that if you want to create, if you create your virtual machines in a rack, then there is fall domain, which is the full rack covering, and then there's an update domain. So update domain, it means that when Microsoft may want to update their underlying software anytime. Obviously, it's not may, they will. So whenever they're updating their underlying Azure software on top of which your virtual machine is running, so whenever they are doing that, so they may have to restart your virtual machine. So this means it could be disruption, stoppage of your virtual machine running. So what they do is that they can create a virtual machine copy. You can see that there's update 1 here, and there is a virtual machine, and there is this update 1. So there's a copy here of this virtual machine. So when there's an update going on here, so its copy virtual machine is also here, and you could be connected here. And then there is update 4 here as well. That could be somewhere else. Update 6 is here. That is mentioned here. They just put the copies in different racks for virtual machines, different virtual machines. So when there's an update going on, it's going to restart. So its you will be connected to its copy somewhere else in another rack. So your virtual machine will be highly available as long as the rack level outage is concerned. That's just update domain. So yeah, update domains are 5. Your 5 copies will be created in different racks and different servers. Updates are just the underlying software update. So obviously, when we're talking about Azure, so we're creating a virtual machine on top of their software. Azure Stack or Azure software we are creating this virtual machine on. So that software will require updates as well. Underlying hardware may require updates as well. So update would be anything on the hardware update level or software update that is on top of which we are creating virtual machine. That software needs to be updated as well. So in that case, and updates always keep on going and they will. So yes, so while there is an update going on and they will switch our virtual machine connectivity to the copy virtual machine, which is an exact copy of the actual virtual machine. So if this whole rack needs to restart, if the underlying software or many of the servers here needs to restart, then the virtual machines running on top of those servers would be failed over the virtual machine on some other rack on some other server. Okay, cool. So that update and fault domain related stuff. So I will just put here as well as one more thing I need to place here is this one diagram pretty much talks about fault domain and update domain as well. Okay, there are any suggestions here? Yeah, up and down. So, well, yeah. So there is, you know, uh, availability set options, and then there's a fault domain and update domain. And I'll just go for the whole discussion of availability, and that link you can just read from here. Okay, so let's go ahead. There are just a few thousand more features here, so I'll just keep on adding more and more stuff here. Yeah, that's just way I go. Guys, so you've created an availability set. It does not cost you, which is okay. But if you use the other feature availability zone, then it will cost you some cents more per hour. Okay? So I'm just going to press ONK here. And then I will just simply, so once this availability set is created here, and there is security type. Now they're saying that, oh, you want for your virtual machine a security type as well? And that security type would be standard, that is the basic level of security for your virtual machine. And there's a trusted launch virtual machines, protects against persistent and advanced attacks on Generation 2 virtual machines with configurable features like secure boot. Boot means start. So when you are securely starting your virtual machines, and virtual trusted platform module or TPM. TPM is just a mechanism to save the keys, the encryption and decryption keys. So when you start your machine, virtual machines, your data inside your virtual machine is, which is already encrypted. When you start your machine, the decryption key is received from the trusted platform module. Then your whole data is decrypted when you're starting, because if it is not decrypted, then how can you see your data inside the virtual machine? You have to decrypt it, understand what is the data there, to see the data and to be able to read it. When you shut down the machine or shutting down, at that time it is encrypted, which means now it is not understandable. So you want to perform any kind of standard, and then there is conditional virtual machines, which is not available on top of trusted launch. Let's say conditional. It's confidential virtual machines. A confidential virtual machine offers higher confidentiality and integrity guaranteed with hardware-based trusted execution environment. So it just says that you want to launch some more advanced security features on your virtual machine. So it could still be trusted that no hacker already did some changes there, and there were no malwares there, there was no virus there, there was nothing stolen from there. If you want that kind of trust, then you can enable that third option. I'm just going to stick to the standard security type. And security type refers to the different security features available for a virtual machine. Security features like trusted launch and confidential virtual machines help improve the security of Azure Generation 2 virtual machines. However, additional security features have some limitations, which include not supporting backup. Whoa, that's not good. You have to back up your virtual machine, right? Not supporting backup, managed disks, and ephemeral OS disks. So that's why you need to be very careful what you're selecting there. So I'm just going to click that trusted launch virtual machine, and that would be just a good read for you that you can just check it out. What is secure boot? When you're starting a virtual machine, so at that time, all the files that are used to start the virtual machine, bootloader, kernel drivers, those are not attacked by malware. Those are not modified by hackers. The machine starts normally. And TPM, Trusted Platform Module, I just told you that it secures your encryption, decryption keys. Virtualization based security that also offers a lot of security features when the machine is starting. VBS uses the hypervisor to create a secure and isolated region of memory. Windows uses these regions to run various security solutions with increased protection against vulnerabilities and malicious exploits. Trusted Launch lets you enable hypervisor code integrity HVCI and Windows Defender credential guards. Seriously, that's a pretty serious type of security. Normally, machines load on memory, right? They create a secure section in memory or RAM for the virtual machine to be started on. So it's a lot of security. Obviously, the amount of hacking attempts that are going on, you have to know all the security options as well. Azure Defender for cloud integration. So that also offers, it's just a collection of security tools, Microsoft Defender. And the Trusted Launch is integrated with Azure Defender for Cloud to ensure your VMs are properly configured. Azure Defender for Cloud will continually assess compatible VMs and issue relevant recommendations. And a recommendation to enable secure boot, recommendation to enable VTPM, and to install guest attestation extension, really attestation health assessment or boot integrity monitoring. They have very fancy long words here, but obviously there are many ways to secure your files that are used to start virtual machines. Alert for VM attestation. So attestation basically just means that I am attesting this machine is secure, right? So they have a mechanism then to check that the files that are used to start a virtual machine have not been messed up with, not been modified, changed in any way that is not normal. So they just keep an eye on all those files if there are any kind of changes. And alert for untrusted Linux kernel module. So if hackers had made any changes, then it would just simply alert. It would take some actions as well. Okay, guys. So this is trusted launch for Azure virtual machines. What is a trusted launch? Good security read for the virtual machine. But this is trusted launch. It's way past lunchtime. I was gonna say trusted lunch. But anyway, the other one is this confidential virtual machine. So if I click that, there is DCAS v5 and ECAS v5 series confidential VMs. So it's just a series of security tools or security mechanisms that have been installed on virtual machines. Azure Confidential Computing offers confidential VMs based on AMD processors with SEV SNP technology. Wow, so many words, so many terminologies. Confidential VMs are for tenants with high security and confidentiality requirements. Okay, so if you really want a lot of security and confidentiality, then you go for Azure Confidential Computing, right? But what is it? These VMs provide a strong hardware enforced boundary to help meet security needs. Okay? So strong hardware enforced boundary is implemented. You can use confidential VMs for migrations without making changes to your code, with the platform protecting your VM state from being read or modified. So the thing is that hardware-based security is provided there. Protection levels differ based on your configuration and preferences. For example, Microsoft can own or manage encryption keys for increased convenience at no additional cost. So it keeps on going here. It just says that we chase some security hardware, robust hardware-based isolation between virtual machines, hypervisor, and host management code, customizable attestation policies to ensure the host compliance before deployment, cloud-based confidential OS disk. Seriously? Okay. So Tim says, just wondering, okay, why it had to be AMD processors. Yes, that's the thing I was wondering as well, that why would they say that they just offer this for AMD processors, but not for AMD processor based underlying physical hardware? Because the two major processor creating companies, Intel and AMD. So this is for, maybe Intel already has those built-in features and AMD does not provide. So Microsoft says that, okay, we are providing this feature for your physical servers or our physical servers that we have purchased, where AMD processor is involved, and we are offering this much security. Or AMD's processor does support this kind of depth security. That's why they're saying that, okay, if our hardware is AMD, some clients also require that, hey, our application must run on AMD. Some AMD has actually good in cryptocurrency field. AMD related processors are also famous, and especially then the display cards. Although it could be cheap as well, yes, Navi says. So yes, but that's still, yeah, weird that why just AMD and why not um, Intel? But Intel is much better and much more advanced in terms of features than AMD. So that's why I think Azure is just jumping in to offer more features which may not be available by AMD processors, but so they are offering their combination of features. So overall, confidential VM would be offering some hardware related features as well. So it would be trusted launch and confidential VM. Confidential VM features. All right. So that would be a good read there that you should go and see more about it. Normally, what I do is if there's any concept, I just put it on YouTube, trusted launch, Azure trusted launch, and then start going with lectures. There's a very good YouTube channel by Microsoft. It's called Microsoft Mechanics. That also offers a very good introduction to all the latest features. So, recommended YouTube channel of Microsoft. There are many others. That is Microsoft Mechanics. So they do offer some of the more advanced features. I needed to know some more application, definition and explanation, description about those features, and then I had to search in Microsoft Mechanics for that, and they were doing it very good. There you go. Thank you, Naveen. So, oh, thank you. So that's something that you could, put this confidential VMs, Azure confidential VMs, and then search in it in the Microsoft YouTube channel, uh, Microsoft Mechanics, right? All right. So let's go back here, guys. We still haven't even crossed one page, but there's so much there to know and understand. And they have added, last year when I was teaching, this was, I think, under preview. Now it's available to be deployed commercially. And many of the features they have added, which were not there last year. So anyway, we're going to go for image now, and we're going to go ahead and deploy our Windows Server 2016 or 2019 or 2022 generation 2, whichever. So I'm just going to go for Windows Server 2022 Data Center Generation 2, Gen 2. We have lots of Linux flavors here as well. Oh, we have Windows 11 Pro as well. Uh, okay. So anyway, I'm gonna go for 2022 Data Center, and if we go there, so it says here there is x64 architecture based hardware that will be available for them. ARM64 is not supported with the selected image. There's Azure provides a choice of x64 or ARM64 based virtual machines to run your applications. x64 based VMs provide the most software compatibility, while ARM64 based VMs provide up to 50% better price performance than comparable x64 VM. So the thing is that if you want cheaper um, hardware, the price to performance ratio, then you can go for ARM64. ARM64 based VMs help developers build ARM compatible software without cross compilation. So that's another hardware architecture basically, and so that's what they're saying, that if you want to go for ARM compatible, I think processor architecture. Yes, it's the processor architecture. So ARM compatible processor architecture is different than Intel based processor architecture. But why are they just going for access? Okay, we decided it's off, but they'd be talking about ARM as well. ARM64. Okay, so I'll just go for ARM64. Oh yeah, there you go. Versus x64. So people have already done some research on that, or search on that. x64 CPUs are fast and powerful, but they require a lot of electricity, so they are usually used in laptops. Some CPUs are weak, but low power processors for smartphones and other mobile devices. The two processor architectures are mutually exclusive. Well, that's a very good comparison. Oh, Microsoft has also done that. What is the difference between x64 and ARM? There you go. Microsoft has done that. Well, somebody asked and somebody answered to that. Like ARM is different processor CPU architecture. The ARM architecture is typically used to build CPUs for a mobile device. 64 is simply an extension or evolution of the ARM architecture that supports 64-bit processing. Devices built on the ARM 64 architecture include desktop PCs, mobile devices, and some IoT core devices, Raspberry Pi 2, Raspberry Pi 3, and Dragon board. For example, the Microsoft HoloLens 2 uses ARM64 processor. Okay, so that should be enough for us to understand the difference between x64 for good performance and ARM64 for not very good performance, so cheaper, but performance is also low. Okay, so difference between x64 and ARM64 processor architecture. Okay, there you go. So let us go ahead and then we're checking. So we're selected some OS, the Windows OS, but you can see that there are see all images as well. There's another option here as well. If I click that, then it goes to select an image, and then you have a pretty long list of application image combinations. You just want Windows 7, you want Ubuntu server, Windows 11 only, Kali Linux, you want CentOS based, Windows multi-session, Access 365 apps, Red Hat Enterprise. Goes on for compute, 1776 different images are there for that. Then there is IT and management tools, there's security tools here, then Perform, Hyper-V 2019, SUSE Linux, so Veeam backup for Microsoft, Azure Free Edition. So there are application plus OS, and then there are just OSs there. So up to you what you want to. I'm just going to click back here. Okay, so we have gone for Windows Server 2022, but it says here standard D2S underscore V3, 2 CPUs, 8 GB RAM, US dollar 148 dollar per month, right? If I just go down here and see all sizes, first we saw all images. Then it says see all sizes as well. If I click the all sizes, then you will be able to understand. Then there are so many series of D series V5, D series V4, B series, DC series, E series V5, most used by Azure users, DS1, V2. So it all depends on the combination of these things: CPU, virtual CPU, RAM, data disks, maximum input output per second or IOPS, the disk, memory storage, premium disk. You really want a high performing disk. So if any of the combinations change here, the series name change here. So they just keep on changing this. So more vCPUs you need, more RAM you need, more data disk, more IOPS or input output per second, or how fast you want to read or write on the disk. That is IOPS. So that is, and then you can see all the series here, the CPU and the RAM and again the storage, IOPS, right? So this is all general purpose. They also give you the category, and this is general purpose, and F series may be compute optimized. Oh, there are some applications that needs a processor. Then there is E series, that is memory optimized. So some applications that need a lot of RAM, right? So it goes on and on and on. And then previous generation sizes, older generation sizes, other sizes. There are memory optimized, but really a lot of CPU and RAM, right? So that's how it is. Zabir says Intel CPUs have been losing their edge for some time. Oh, I didn't know that Amazon was producing its CPUs. Yeah, Amazon was actually producing their hardware. Microsoft is going that way. Google Cloud is going that way because they have to depend on someone else to provide all the physical servers there. So yes, and there's a link that Xavier has provided in chat, so that's good. Thank you. But yes, this is how it's going on here. I'm just going to go for create a virtual machine. Click that. So all sizes, and we have D2S V3. That's what you need to know. 2 vCPUs it provides and 8 GB RAM. Right. Okay. Then we're going to go for username here, and you can just go for your first name admin. I'm an admin in my case. And the password is class password, small abc, capital ABC, shift 123 without shift 123. Small abc, capital ABC, shift 123 without shift 123. Did I leave something? There's a spot. Oh, this one. Yeah. Okay. So spot discount run with Azure spot discount is kind of auction related, not auction. Let me just explain that in a bit more detail. Guys, there is a due a break time. Says I don't see V3 on mine. So V3. Oh, this DS2 V3. So Tim, whichever you see nearest to that, it could be one vCPU and 4 GB RAM or 3 GB RAM. That is also okay. Or like 2 CPUs but 6 GB RAM, 2 CPUs but 12 GB RAM. So go for the nearest available. And David says there for discount. So Naveed says unable to select. Unable to select any virtual machine or that particular. So guys, you don't have to exactly go there, and it will happen to me as well. When I create another virtual machine, you can see other sizes: DS1 V2, E4S V3, and E2S V3. Right? Okay, so there's a screenshot there in WhatsApp. I'll just drag it here. From here, you don't have to really select from here. Just go back to what was the drop down menu for selection. I came out of there. I didn't select anything from here. If I go to all sizes, that's where you are, right? So just go ahead and click this virtual machine. So you should be out of this area. Then from the drop down, just select anyone. And only drop down will offer those which you can select or you're allowed to and select. Okay, so yes, but it's not showing there. So Naveed says not showing here at all. Like when you click the drop down, here comes the screenshot, right? So at all or some size is showing there. Oh, so then in that case, two areas, yeah, so it still says red. This means you're not able to, if you click anywhere else, it should be okay. But like even this one you cannot select. This is what you're saying, I guess. That's what I have in VM. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. So if I select and click it somewhere else, it lets me go ahead. You can go ahead and try to put some username password there. Also, Naveed and Tim, go up there and see in the basics page if you see a red dot. Red dot means that one of the requirements on this page was not met. So just click somewhere else after selecting whatever size is showing there, and then check if there's a red dot or not. Well, so spot instances red dot, then you're okay. Then what size you're getting there, E2, which is you can keep it selected, right? All right, guys. So the thing is, let's take our break and then we come back. Is that O and K or we continue? O and K. Okay. Right. So when it says I think oh, yeah, at least this page.
Excuse me,
Oh,
if you
break.
go
Okay.
back.
Nick says break. Any one student says break, we take a break.
Hi, can you
All
hear me?
right. So let's take a break. Break. And class starts 5:13, 5:23, 5:40, 5:24, 34. Yeah. Muting and pausing. Okay. 34. 35 we can do. So, yeah. Okay, guys, that's me. Muting and recording. Recording, I'm gonna do pause on recording. All right. So let's go ahead, guys, and try to understand. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead. And we were talking about, I'm just going to go back to this here. So we've given the username password here and your first name admin, password, confirm password, inbound ports. Now, oh, okay. So the spot instances, what is a spot instance? We need to talk about that too. So here, Azure Spot offers unused Azure capacity at a discounted rate versus pay-as-you-go prices. Workloads should be tolerant to infrastructure loss, as Azure may recall capacity for pay-as-you-go workloads. So what they are saying in English is that Azure Spot instances Spot instance is what? Now, suppose you have a requirement for 200 virtual machines creation, and there's a big software that you need to run. Suppose you're doing, and there's a big application that you want to run, and that application will make a lot of analysis. So that application has to go through. Suppose you have a 50 years of data for a company, and the company asks that, hey, can you run analysis on our data? So maybe there's a 50 years of company data in terms of how business was run, and how what product was sold where across the globe. Suppose it's a global company. So 50 years of data needs to be, so the application has to do analysis, right? Analysis. All right. So the company has to do analysis. So this application will analyze 50 years of data. That could be actually huge data, right? It's like terabytes. Terabytes of data, right? That's huge amount of data, right? So they need to analyze everything there. Now that those analysis would require a lot of CPU and RAM, right? And a lot of storage as well. So suppose the company doesn't have their own very good hardware infrastructure and to run 200 virtual machines on. So they go for the company asks for to Google Cloud, suppose first that, hey, we need to run, hey, Google Cloud. Google Cloud is just like Azure Cloud. So, hey, Google Cloud, we need to run 200 virtual machines here. So, how much will you charge? So Google Cloud says, okay, we're going to charge you $100,000 for that. $100,000, right? So then you go to Amazon, AWS. So then you ask that, okay, we need to run 200 virtual machines, and they're going to run day and night. And so Amazon says, okay, we're going to charge you, suppose, $80,000 for that. And then you go to Azure. So Azure says that, yeah, oh, okay, we're going to charge, the company says that, okay, we have been offered this, but hey, Azure Cloud Services, how much you're going to charge for running our 200 virtual machines for maybe 1 month? So Azure says we're going to charge you $20,000. So the company says that, but Azure says that it would be our, but, so we're talking about spot instances, and spot instances is just that. Suppose one company has a lot of virtual machines to run, and it is looking for a cheaper hardware, right? It's looking for a hardware where it can run its 200 virtual machines to analyze 50 years of data, right? So it goes to Google Cloud, and Google Cloud says 100,000, and it goes to Amazon Cloud, and Amazon says 80,000. Then it goes to Azure, and Azure says 20,000. But Azure says that, hey, I'm offering spot instances. What is a spot instance? Or spot discount. Spot discount is that these cloud service providers, they have a lot of data centers. We know that, right? They have lots and lots of data centers. So those data centers, one data center can contain up to from 100,000 physical servers to up to 300,000 physical servers, right? So these are huge amount. It's not necessary that all 300,000 physical servers are being used. There could be like 20% of the physical servers that are just sitting there doing nothing, right? So that's the same case with Google Cloud and Amazon as well, by the way. They all also offer spot instances. So what is a spot instance? So Azure says that, okay, the unused physical servers that we have, you can run your 200 virtual machines there. We're going to charge you half of the market price. So half price, because we are offering the unused physical servers, because they need to earn something from them as well. So we're gonna offer. You can still use the same CPU and RAM capacity there, storage capacity there. We're gonna offer you half price for that, spot instances. So the company is happy and jumping. Okay, instead of paying $100,000, we have to pay $20,000 for the same thing, and they're like, wow. But then Azure says, okay, there's a catch here. And pretty much that concept is with Amazon and Google as well. It's not like Amazon is not offering spot discount and Google is not offering spot discount, and only Azure is offering. All three are offering spot discount. But I'm just giving an example of, suppose the company went there and they uh, offered this, and then the second company offered this. So Azure says that, okay, it's half price, but there's a catch. Catch is that when your 200 virtual machines are running and there is some paid customer that comes to us and is willing to pay the full pay-as-you-go price of their machines, in that case, we would need back our those 20% of the physical servers that were not being used, or some of those. So if your virtual machines are in those servers, so we will delete your virtual machines without any warning. So that's the thing. You get half the price of the market and pray that no one no one else comes and is willing to pay the full price of using that hardware. If any paid customer comes, or full price paying customer comes, then your half price virtual machines will be deleted like instantaneously by Microsoft. So you should be prepared mentally that you're running, and you should not care if your machines are all of a sudden gone because our customer, full price paying customer, came. That's the thing with the spot instances. It's called spot instances or spot discount, and you can use unused hardware for half price. But if full price paying customer comes, your machines will be gone. So just keep a backup of that. Whatever benefit you were able to take, whatever analysis you were able to take out from this and save, then save it. Otherwise, if some paid customer comes, or full price paying customer comes, virtual machines will be deleted. So that's the catch with that. Half price, but they could be deleted. So that's the deal with the spot discount. That's the same thing with Amazon and Google. They also offer that same thing. So if I was teaching Amazon course, I'm a Amazon AWS Services Solutions Architect Associate, which will be starting soon in the morning time. So that in that example, I will be saying that, oh, somebody went to Azure and Azure offered 100,000, and somebody went to then Google offered 8,000, and Amazon said that, okay, we're offering spot discount. Just to compare the prices, I'm just saying, otherwise they all offer spot discounts. They're all cloud service providers. The best one is, obviously, the top one is Amazon. Second best is Azure. Third best is Google Cloud, and then comes Alibaba Cloud from China, or other Oracle Cloud and IBM Cloud. Okay, so this is spot discount. I'm just gonna save that and go back here. So VM's spot discount. Okay. VM spot discount, and go ahead. So there's that. So we're not going to use spot discount, but yeah, it's going to be half price. If we do, they could delete anytime our virtual machine. So then comes the inbound port rules here. So inbound port rules just shows that, suppose your virtual machine needs this is your virtual machine here, and what kind of traffic should be allowed to come. So there's RDP showing here. There's also HTTP, HTTPS showing there as well. Right? So in that case, suppose you say that I'm going to allow 443 traffic to this virtual machine, which is HTTPS. I'm going to allow RDP traffic. Anyone knows the port for RDP? Okay, there it is, 3389. Cool. 3389. What does RDP do? You can remotely connect to this machine. From Windows machine, you can remotely connect to another Windows machine. That is what RDP does. 443 is just a secure socket layer, which is HTTPS, right? So HTTPS protocol, you can just go for. So what is then the benefit of inbound rules? Inbound rules basically acts like a firewall. How does firewall work? The first rule of firewall is as soon as you install a firewall, it blocks everything. Then whatever you allow, it just allows that traffic. So that's the best way to secure, right? Block everything and then allow whatever you want to allow. So inbound rules is just asking, hey, what kind of traffic are you allowing in this virtual machine? So we're saying, well, for now, it is just 3389 because from our laptop, we need to remotely connect to this machine, right? So we're enabling RDP traffic, but what are inbound rules for? Inbound rules are just to get like a firewall and whatever type of traffic you want to allow to this virtual machine. So the help of inbound rules, you can allow that particular type of traffic. Okay, so I'll just quickly tag that, but we're gonna go for more discussion on the same topic when it comes to security groups. The security groups rules are part of security groups, right? So inbound rules and so right and uh, it works like a firewall, blocking all traffic except for what we allow. Okay, but and it's part of security groups, and it is part of SG security group. So a security group has outbound rules, inbound rules. So we just saw inbound rules here. I'm just gonna go back here. Here, if you drop down, there's HTTP traffic that is not secure web traffic. There is secure web traffic, HTTPS. Then there's secure shell to remotely connect to Linux, and RDP to remotely connect to Windows machine. So what is a Windows machine? So we're gonna click that RDP, right? We're gonna keep RDP, allow selected ports. We're allowing RDP traffic or remote desktop protocol traffic. It says licensing, so save up to 49% with license you already own using Azure Hybrid Benefit. So if you already have suppose you're a Microsoft shop, you've been purchasing Microsoft for a product for quite some time, for decades maybe. So you have a sales rep there and you got licenses in a very low price. So you don't have to really purchase Windows license from Azure. If you bring your own license, you can use that. It could be cheaper. And through Azure, it would be the standard price for the license because, we are installing Windows Server, right? So in a production environment, you would need a license for that. So we don't bring any license with ourselves, and we don't intend to use the license for this from Azure as well. I'm going to be deleting it at the end of the class anyway. So I'm going to click next here, disks, and then in the disks. So in the chat, Fausia says, show the top of this page, create a VM. Okay, so I'm going to click previous, and yeah, that's the top of the page. All the options. Just for you to remember. I'm gonna take a screenshot and put it in group WhatsApp so you can see all the settings and compare them with what you have. And it was still 20. Okay. Home here. Okay. Okay, so there's a setting of this page one, and then we go to I'm going to click disks here, and that's the next page here. And then there is Azure VMs have one operating system disk and a temporary disk for short-term storage. They always give you, when you're creating a virtual machine, they always give you two disks. One is where you store your operating system, and the second is always a temporary disk for short-term storage. You want to store something temporarily, you can store it there. It's normally 6 GB disk. You can attach additional data disks. The size of the VM determines the type of storage you can use and the number of data disks allowed. So it depends on what size of VM you chose. You can just check that, oh, I need a big disk, or I need a small disk, or I need a slow disk or fast disk. So you can see here, OS disk type, premium, SSD. SSD is super slow drive, SSD. It's a solid state drive, and it is locally redundant storage. Okay, I'll be explaining that. So here, you need premium SSD, best for production and performance sensitive workloads. Best for production and performance sensitive workloads. So obviously your first choice would be premium SSD. Then there's standard SSD. Best for web servers, likely used enterprise applications, and dev tests. So you have a test environment, you can do that. Maybe there are a few hundred users connecting, you can use to your enterprise application. Maybe there's an insurance company and you have an insurance company application. That's not a lot used, so then you can use the premium SSD, standard SSD, sorry, that. And standard HDD, hard disk drive, HDD, hard disk drive. This is the slowest one. Best for backup, non-critical, and infrequent access, right? So what it's saying is if performance is not what you want, then you can go for standard HD and D. So otherwise, for best performance in production environment, you stick to premium SSD. So we're going to stick to premium SSD. So our Windows could start actually. So let me say in the chat, licensing, should we select or leave the box? Yeah, leave the box. Not bringing our own license to Azure. Okay, so OS type and then delete with VM. That means that when you create a virtual machine, a disk will be created with it. When you delete a virtual machine, do you want this disk to be automatically deleted with the virtual machine, or do you want virtual machine to be deleted when you delete that, but the disk stays there? Because disk obviously has all the data inside. In some situations, you don't want the disk to be deleted, but only virtual machine to be deleted. Okay. So I'm going to keep it selected, no change till now. Encryption at host is not registered for the selected subscription. So encryption type. What is encryption type? And encryption is what? To just simply encrypt your data means that your data will be not understandable if it is encrypted. So suppose some hacker steals your critical company data. If it is encrypted and the hacker is not able to decrypt it, so then that data is useless because the hacker cannot really understand what's there. It's all messed up words. So that's encrypted, right? Okay. If I go here, then there are options, and that is default encryption at rest with a platform managed key, encryption at rest with a customer managed key, full encryption with platform managed key, managed and customer managed key. Then there is encryption at host is not there. So first of all, we talked about what is encryption, and then what is encryption at host. Encryption at host allows you to encrypt the ABC cache, temporary disk, and ephemeral disks on your VM. ABC cache. So the thing is, the main disk is this, right, where your operating system is. Obviously, you would want to encrypt it. But do you want to encrypt any extra disks? Any, the temporary storage disk? Maybe you have some critical data you put there as well. So other all other disk other than the main disk, if you want to encrypt, then it is encryption at host enabled, right? Our subscription is not really having that this feature supported, and that's why it's saying. And you go for learn more about enabling this feature. If I click that, so it says that there are PowerShell commandlets here that would enable that encryption. Encryption at host, but this is the procedure to do that. You want to do that, you can follow that, but we don't need to really. It's a training environment. So there is encryption type, then there's a customer managed key, there's a platform managed key. So what happens is that so here encryption type, and then there is a platform managed key or customer managed key. So what happens is that your virtual machine is there, and there's a lot of data inside, and that data needs to be. So Naveed says in the chat, even on premises or virtual. No, this is virtual machine on Azure. So this is not included with on premises. This is for this particular virtual machine. And okay, so here, if there's data inside, so platform managed key means that that Microsoft will manage your encryption decryption keys. Microsoft. Okay, that's a new one. Microsoft managed platform. What is platform? Azure platform, and that is Microsoft. So the thing is that Microsoft managed keys. So the Azure platform will manage the key. What key? The encryption and decryption key. Encrypt. Oh man, I really need a. I have to get a screenwriting pen because that is okay. Let me just try with my finger on the screen. So Microsoft managed and I'm writing just with my finger. Okay, that sucks. I'm just gonna go back to this mouse-based writing, and I'll get that pen right on screen. So Microsoft managed keys, and then there is that performance managed key, right? So encryption and decryption. ENCR, CRY, encryption and decryption keys, right? So those decryption keys are right, encryption decryption keys. Microsoft manages them for you. When you start the virtual machine, then the whole data is decrypted. When you shut down your virtual machine, the whole data is encrypted. Suppose you lose your encryption decryption keys. Lose encryption decryption keys. So you will then lose access to your data. Most critical data, you will lose access. And in that case, so encryption key is used to encrypt the whole data of the machine, right? So that could be passphrase as well. Like you put some passphrase there or password there. It is then used by it is being managed by Microsoft. But then there is another one. So yes, you can use passphrase, and then you put the passphrase, it gets decrypted. And but there is normally a key as well that in the background is stored, and that key is alphanumeric. Like it could be 3AZ49AF. It could be any alphanumeric very long address here. A 2-bit key, 128 character. Did I say nine? Okay, so 128 character key, or it could be longer, 256 character key. So it could be very long key, and it's in lines and after lines after lines after lines after lines. So that's full alphanumeric characters going on line by line. But it's just specific to that data. So if you use that very long key to encrypt or lock your data, Then if you lose that key, obviously then you have to decrypt it by some paid expensive software. Sometimes it takes even months or years. If it is very, very deep encryption, 256-bit encryption or even more. Okay, so the thing is that the key, the passphrase is used in combination with the key, but there actually is an alphanumeric very long key. Right? So now platform managed key is just that Microsoft will manage that. Customer managed key is that you want to manually manage the key yourself, right? Customer managed key is the next option that if you click, then it will come. And because I'm writing on the screen right now, annotating, so that's why it's going to, I cannot click these options now. I'm writing on the screen, right? So customer managed key, you have to manually keep or save the key yourself. Microsoft will still have a copy of that, but the thing is you're responsible for encryption decryption key. If you lose it, you lose access to that critical data, right? So but some customers want that, okay, I want to manage the encryption decryption key myself, and for that I would want to go for customer managed keys, right? So now there is that option for customer managed keys. That will be in Rodman, but we understand that, okay, if you want Microsoft to manage, you can keep it like that. And most probably, most environments, it is like that, that let Microsoft handle it. Otherwise, for specific reasons, for you can also just manage the key yourself, the encryption, decryption. So that screenshot, Naveed uploaded there in WhatsApp as well. So the customer managed and the company managed keys. So that's the thing. Oh, platform managed and customer managed keys. So it's up to you, obviously, how you want to go for it. So yeah, that's a drop down. Encryption at rest with and at rest means what? At rest means either it's you know, if suppose there's a data at rest, which is just sitting data on the disk, and then there is data on the move, and that is the data is being copied over the network somewhere or over the cloud somewhere. So you want to encrypt that too. So this data at rest just means that the data is on the disk and it is encrypted. And you want to, when you encrypt it, you want to manage the encryption decryption keys yourself, or you so that's customer managed, or going to go for double encryption with platform managed and customer managed, which means that first it is encrypted and the keys are stored with Microsoft. Then it is again in that encrypted data is again further encrypted. Those keys are with you. It's double encryption, and yeah, you can encrypt encrypted data. So a thief or a hacker will have to first decrypt one layer, first layer. For that, the keys are with you. Suppose that the hacker somehow gets that, then the hacker still has to decrypt the second layer, second encryption. And the keys for that is with Microsoft. So that's double encryption. But once you encrypt, you suppose are opening a file. So first the file has to be decrypted, and it opens. So it takes time. Then the file is double encrypted. So the first encryption has to be decrypted, then the second encryption has to be decrypted, and then the file opens. So the more you encrypt, the secure it is, but slower the file opens then. All right. So so that is default platform managed key. Or if you suppose you choose customer managed key, so there is a default encryption set, not available, no available disk encryption sets are there. So then there is a disk encryption set stores the customer key that a disk or snapshot will use for encrypting its data. You must choose an existing disk encryption set. During this step, disk encryption sets require access to key vault keys. Okay, goes further. So suppose you select customer manage. Oh, I'm going to manage my data encryption myself. So in that case, it says that why don't you just create a key and save it somewhere? So where do you want to save the key? Okay, when I say key, what key am I talking about? So encryption key. So encryption key is so it's like alphanumeric data here, but yeah, there you go. So this is the key. So simple. So oh man, why did I? Yeah, there it is. So available so begin open VPN static key. So this is how a key would look like: 128 character or 256 bit or 512 bit. So you could just go for, and there's hash value for that. There's optional decryption key, optional hash key. So but this is how a key looks like, right? That's what I was saying, that lines and lines of alphanumeric characters. Okay, it says that disk encryption set. So where do you want to save that key? You have to use another Microsoft service called Vault. Vault is a service that saves your keys. So if I just go to the duplicate here and then go to our search and just put there key vault. So if you go for customer managed keys, then you have to create a key vault here. You have to go to key vault. Then no key vaults to display. Safeguard cryptographic keys. It says there, oh, you have a cryptographic key. Keys also encryption decryption key is also called cryptographic key. If you want to safeguard cryptographic keys and other secrets used by cloud apps and services, then you have to create a key vault. Then you name the key vault something, and then when you're saving the key, then just mention this name as the key vault. And suppose we go for create key vault. If I click the create key vault here. Okay. So, it's gonna go very long. So we're gonna create a key vault when we are starting the course. I just wanted one the security course. We're gonna create key vault there, and then I'm gonna show you how to do that too. But it's not the big deal as well. It's easy. So the thing is that I'm gonna go stick with the platform managed key here, and then we're going to double encryption is also an option, and we talked about that. That's very good. Okay, so I'm going to stick to platform managed key. Then enable ultra disk compatibility. Ultra disk is not supported with availability sets or VMSS. So it says there, Azure ultra disks deliver high throughput, high IOPS, and consistent low latency disk storage for Azure IaaS VM. So it says that, hey, you want really good performance from every aspect, then select UltraDisk. UltraDisk is suited for data-intensive workloads such as SAP, top-tier databases, transaction-heavy workloads. So suppose there's a Boxing Day and you're connected to a Best Buy site, and there are thousands of people connected to Best Buy site and going for the Boxing Day deals at 12:01 midnight. So it's going to be heavy transactions going on their web servers when you're clicking and ordering, clicking and ordering, clicking and ordering. So they would want to enable UltraDisk for their web servers in that case, right? So it just says that since we put the availability sets there, so that's why they're saying it's not, this option is not available then. Okay, so other than that, data disk for your virtual machine, you can add and configure additional data disk for your virtual machine as well. So we can add additional data disks there as well. Then there's an advanced option here that goes for use managed disks, ephemeral OS disks. So suppose you want to actually, suppose there's a virtual machine going on here, running a virtual machine here, and that virtual machine has a virtual disk. That virtual machine. So suppose this is a VM. This is a VM, and that is its vdisk, right? So in that case, suppose there's a very critical data here, and you want that virtual disk. There's a Azure VM here as well, right? Azure VM. So VM here. Now you want this virtual disk with a lot of data inside, critical data inside. You want that virtual disk to be attached to this virtual machine. So yes, you can do that. You can export this disk with the extension of VHDS, VHDX, and you can convert the VHDX to .VHD. That's the older format that Azure supports, and then upload that .VHD to the Azure VM and attach it there. If you plan to do that, with this virtual machine, then you have to uh, unselect that. So this means that in future, you intend to actually attach some disks coming from non-Azure sources to this virtual machine. Then you have to, so manage disk means all the disks will be managed by Microsoft. If you uncheck that, so you say, no, Microsoft, I don't want you to manage that. I will manage my disks myself. In that case, then you have to create a storage account. Then you have to upload that disk there. And from there, you can attach that disk from your local branch, this virtual machine. So right now we're saying, hey, Microsoft, go ahead and manage our disks. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and next. So this whole page, it's all the same options, default options, nothing changed. Okay. Just going to go networking, which is the next one. And networking is define network connectivity for your virtual machine by configuring network interface card NIC settings and control ports, inbound and outbound connectivity, security group rules, placed behind an existing load balancing solution. So the thing is, whenever we create an Azure account, it creates a virtual network by default for us. Obviously, we need some kind of network inside which we can create our resources like virtual machines, storage accounts, databases, right? Use any other services. So that virtual network is this. We will be later creating our own virtual networks or VNets. Right now, yes, this is a default virtual network here. So subnet, the default subnetwork of this virtual network is this, and the range IP range is this 10.0.0.0/24, which is okay. Public IP. So they say, hey, you want a public IP? Obviously, we want a public IP because this virtual machine that we are about to create uh, should be available over the internet, and from our laptops, we're going to be remotely connecting to this virtual machine. Right? So yes, we need a public IP for that. So if this machine had a private IP, then you cannot connect with this virtual machine over the internet. So what are the three private IP ranges? Anyone can tell me? First one is, yes, exactly, 10.0.0.0. Second one is 22.168.0.0. And third one is 172.16.0.DAT. DAUT actually. Okay, anyway, so these are the private ranges and you can use it in your local area network. But other than that, any other IP other than APIPA 169.254. So all of the ranges are public IP that from those IPs you can connect to internet or you can publish your resource to internet. Accessible from internet. Anyway, so yes, we need a public IP. It's going to be given a public IP from Azure. NIC, Network Security Group. So remember that I was talking about security group here, and security group has inbound rules. Yeah, there's an inbound rule, and it is part of SG or security group. So in Microsoft, it is NSG. In Amazon, it is only SG. So NSG, Network Security Group. All right. So now this is what we need to actually discuss. So inbound rules, it was the advanced feature coming, but what are NSGs? NSGs are network security groups. Um, NSGs are just like firewall. If we go ahead, NSG, there's a basic NSG, and it says that, oh, you want only this type of traffic to be connected to your virtual machine. So we say yes, we want this type of traffic to be connected to virtual machine. This will allow IP addresses to access your virtual machine. Okay. Now, by default, we have already configured our NSG. NSG acts like a firewall. So I have created that diagram before as well. But suppose this is a virtual machine here, and you need to just simply check that which traffic, um, application traffic, which application traffic connects, application or web traffic or any other traffic connects to VMs and which do not. So this is what's going on here, that you have kind of a firewall here that says, hey, stop, who are you? Are you even allowed to enter the machine or not? So we are allowing RDP traffic, remote desktop protocol, because we need to remotely connect to this machine from our laptop. But any other traffic is all blocked. So this would be that NSG that is doing it. Works like a firewall. It's not a firewall, right? So it works like a firewall. Everything is blocked. Then what you open. That's the rule. So if I go back here, so here it says that yes, we are allowing RDP. It's the same thing, but now if we go to advanced here, so NSG here, a network security group contains security rules that allow or deny inbound network traffic to or outbound network traffic from the virtual machine. To simplify management of security rules, it's recommended that you associate a network security group to individual subnets rather than individual network interfaces within the subnet whenever possible. So it just says that when you're, if I go and we talk in English, so it says here that these virtual machines are actually part of some kind of subnet, right? They are inside some network, right? So if I go for this, and this is a subnet, and the subnet IP range is suppose dot 0 dot 1 dot 0/24. That's the subnet IP range, and these are all in a subnetwork. So they're saying that you want to block something. Best practice is to configure NSG on the subnet level, and the subnet level you can decide allow or block whoever enters the subnet to all the virtual machines, to any of the virtual machines, and who does not. So configuring NSG here, you can do that too, or configuring on the machine level, you can do that too. So NSG could be configured on the subnet level as well. They're saying recommended is this for all virtual machines. Suppose this virtual machine needs 443 traffic, which is secure traffic, and anyone knows what is this? 1433. Anyone knows which traffic is this? 1433. By this time, I would have googled it. So 1433 or 1437. But this is database traffic, right? 1433. So, or you can go for 3389, which is desktop, or FTP 22, or any other type of traffic that you can go for. So anyway, the thing is that whatever traffic you want to allow, so you can allow that traffic on the subnet level. Then on individual level, suppose this machine only needed 443 RDP, this machine only needed 389 and 1433, this machine only needed 3389 and 22. Those are all open here on the subnet level. An individual level, you can just select whichever you want. So this is a combination of outside main gate and the actual house door traffic. That would be the analogy then. Analogy. Anyway, so I'm going to go back here and we're going to click advanced, right? And in advanced, it says, oh, you want to create a security group? I'm going to click create new just to show you that how a security group inside look like. So I'm going to click create new. And believe me, I clicked it. Okay. Oh, you're thinking. Did I do something wrong? Yeah. So here, create new network security group. And there it says that, okay, we have already added for you TCP port RDP, transfer control protocol, right? And it's RDP protocol, remote desktop protocol. So we could remotely connect to our machine. The port number is 3389. You want to create more inbound role or you want to create more outbound rule. Outbound rule is from within the virtual machine, you want to allow some traffic outside. Right? So if I click add an inbound rule, this one, then it says that, oh, what kind of traffic you want to allow? So is this traffic coming from a specific IP address? Or is it coming from your home IP address? Or is it coming from some service that has a service tag? Service tag is just, you can put something, some name there, sales department service or marketing department service. There's a tag that just identifies the service with some kind of name. So in that case, service tag. So anyway, any means that from over the internet, anywhere the traffic is coming from. And then there is source port range. So which exact port the traffic is coming from or any port the traffic is coming from is okay. Then you can say destination could be any as well. Our destination is our machine, right? And service is custom, but what kind of service you want? SQL Server database service, SSH, Linux service, HTTPS secure internet service, SMTP, which is email service, file transfer protocol to transfer files, FTP service, POP3, email, IMAP, LDAP is for authentication service, right? Secure SMTPS, so secure email service. So these are all the protocols that are there. And destination port range. So you can just put a port range here, 443. I'm expecting secure internet service. So, and then I'm allowing it. And then there's a priority as well. So first priority is 3389, which is 1000. And then lower number, higher the priority. Higher the number, lower the priority. How it goes. So 10 is there, it's higher number. So first priority would be 1000. Oh, remote connection. Okay. First, this rule will be executed, then second priority rule will be again executed. So name allow any custom 443 inbound. So I selected 443, so it gave some kind of name. We could just change that name to anything as well. So I'm just adding, for an example, 443 as well, although we're not going to have that traffic coming there. I'm going to click add here. And you can see that this is how another type of traffic is allowed inside the virtual machine. You just go to inbound rule and just simply fill in the information, and then it opens up that port, which means that type of traffic is also allowed in that virtual machine. So outbound traffic, if I go click here, then it's the same, pretty much same thing. We don't need to do that. All kind of traffic is allowed normally from within the machine to outside, but it's where outside to inside is where you need to protect. We've added this port as an example of how to add a port. I'm just going to press O and K.
Please, can you go over the rules part again?
Okay, so this is connected. I'm not able to hear if you're talking. I should be able to, but otherwise, chat would be the way. Yeah, it is on speaker. If I go to switch, I'll check my sound, switch audio, and then okay. Anyway, so I'll just go ahead. And so we were talking about how network security group it's like a firewall. It allows or and blocks ports or types of traffic. Okay, sounds good. Please, can you go through the add inbound rules again? Tim is saying add inbound rule. So if I go for add inbound rule, so there is that create new, and then there is that add inbound rule, right? So Louis says I need to live. Okay, sure. Sure. Tonight may or may not be possible, but tomorrow definitely. But it's good to have a reminder. Thank you. Bye bye. So add inbound rule, and so I'm gonna click that add inbound rule. Tim is saying that to repeat. So Tim, there's a source IP address. So you can put any IP address there. IP address ranges here. The IP address has to be in this format /24 or in this in V4 or V6 CIDR range. And then or my IP address, when you go for my IP address, this just automatically detects your DSL router, home DSL router or office DSL, office that internet IP that has been assigned to you. Detects that automatically, right? So if we go for service tag, so if you have given tag to any other service that from which you're connecting, so then you can use that tag, but we haven't done any of those, so we can go for any, which means that it comes from internet anywhere, right? Then there is that source port range, so you could just put here 443, and only from 443 the traffic will be allowed. Otherwise, keeping it open from anywhere in the internet and from any port, anyone is can try to connect to this machine. So in production environment, normally we don't do that. We specifically go for IP addresses. Or for my IP address, but in here training, you can just put anything. Destination also, what is destination? Destination is our virtual machine, right? Custom protocol you can select. You can just go down to that protocol and select that. When you put custom, then you can put any port here. So in our case, last time we put 443, just for example. Now we can just go for port 80 maybe. So we're allowing port 80. It detects that it is allow any custom 80 inbound port. So port 80 is just insecure internet. So here priority is 1020. So first of all, action allow and TCP or UDP or ICMP. Then there TCP transmission control protocol, or it's a reliable way to connect. UDP is just broadcast. Yes, we can create Tim says, so you can create the rules per VM. Yes, we can create the rules per VM, but Microsoft recommends that the rules can be created on the subnet level as well. So that's what can happen. You can create rules per VM as well. So there's UDP. Then ICMP is that if you want to allow ping this machine, normally that is not done for a machine that is available publicly. So that's why we are not really going to go for ping. Otherwise, suppose it's a dev test machine and over the internet you want to ping it so you could know if it's on and off, then you can just select that too. So any protocol, I'll go for TCP. I want it to be a reliable connection. That's it. And it's a port 80. So that's how we can add a port. Right? Okay, I'll just press OK here. And I don't think we will be able to create a virtual machine today because we have to go through all these rules. So here, delete public IP and NIC when VM is deleted. Yes. So we would want to delete the public IP that this machine will be receiving and the network interface card that this machine is connected to. If you leave it unchecked, then when you delete the machine, the IP will still be on your name and the NIC will still be assigned to you, network interface card. Okay? So we want it deleted as well when we are able to delete the machine. Okay, so then there is delete public IP. Yeah, done. Enable accelerated networking. Yes, if some more network, suppose you need more bandwidth. In that case, so enables low latency, high throughput the network interface. So yes, you can enable more better network performance. For that, you can just keep this option checked. Load balancing, we're not doing load balancing yet, but if you click that, then there are load balancing options. Load balancing lab is coming up as well. Once we go to this machine, then we're going to go for scale set, then we're going to go for load balancing lab as well. So I'm going to click management here. And for management, we see here enable basic plan for free. But this is Microsoft Defender for Cloud, right? So Defender for Cloud provides unified security management and advanced threat protection across hybrid cloud workloads, right? So enable basic plan for free. Yeah, this would be good because it's free and it does provide some kind of security. And then identity, it says there enable system assigned managed identity. So system assigned managed identity enables Azure resources to authenticate cloud services, for example, Azure Key Vault, without storing credentials in code. So you can have some username, password, and then put it in Key Vault, and then from there it can retrieve that and then authenticate, or some kind of system ID that if this machine shows that particular ID, then I'm gonna let it start. Once enabled, all necessary permissions can be granted via Azure Arc role-based access control. With Azure Arc, you can add a user and give that user contributor role or reader role, right? Whatever you want to do. So once the machine is created, then we're going to explore that too. So enable system assign manage ID. Yes, this is a good option. We can enable it later as well. Also, it says login with Azure ID. So Azure AD. So use your corporate Active Directory credentials. Log into the VM. Enforce MFA. Enable access via RBAC roles. So it says that, hey, you want to connect to your Azure Active Directory with this machine? So, well, yeah, we can do that. It says that system managed ID must be on to be able to log in from Azure Active Directory credentials. So Azure Active Directory credentials are, if I go here, well, it's here as well, Azure Active Directory. We've been working on those and users. Any of those users, if you want to log in from that virtual machine, then you have to enable identity and the Azure AD option both. When I enable that, yes, it enables this one as well, which is okay. Auto shutdown, you can just put a machine on auto shutdown as well. And once you click that, so it says that, hey, when do you want me to automatically shut down this machine? And then there's a universal time that you can go for your Eastern time or Central time, whichever time. You can choose your time zone and it can automatically shut down your machine as well. Better idea, unless it's a server that needs to be available 24/7, 365. Site recovery, enable disaster recovery. So we're going to be enabling that option later. And we're going to be creating a copy of this virtual machine in another region as well. But right now we're not going to enable that while creating a virtual machine, but later we will, just to check that how site recovery and region virtual machine creation, how does it work, and failover works. That does take a lot of time as well. Okay, Then guest OS updates, and there is enable hot patch. Hot patching is available only with Windows Server 2022 Data Center, Azure Edition Core. So there are some certain editions with which hot patch is just that your critical security updates of the operating system are automatically installed without restarting. And then there is patch orchestration option. So it says that, hey, you want to regulate, suppose you know that our Windows need lot of every month there are some Windows updates that are there. So suppose you have 10,000 Windows there, and you want Azure to deploy some automated method to patch or install all the updates to your virtual machines. So yes, Azure supports that too. So that automatic by OS, Windows automatic updates. So this is built-in updates. But well, there's another application called Microsoft Intune. That Microsoft Intune, that you can patch thousands of machines online and on premises as well. This is, it's going to support that patching that you're doing. Monitoring, advanced tags. Okay, if I go to monitoring, there's that diagnostics, boot diagnostics, enable with managed storage account, recommended enable with custom storage account, and disable. So boot diagnostics is just that, use this feature to troubleshoot boot failures. Starting of the virtual machine, if it fails, so it diagnoses it for you. It creates some log files which gives you more details that what was the reason that the virtual machine was not able to start, right? For custom or platform images, boot diagnostics with managed storage account significantly improves creation time of virtual machine. So the thing is that it is already going to create one, but it's going to create a storage account with it too. So to save log files. So either this, but in a training environment, we don't need that. So I'm just going to disable that because it's going to create a storage account, which does cost a few cents, right? But we understand that we do create that. So in a production environment, we should, but here we don't have to really do that. Enable guest diagnostics. So the virtual machine level diagnostics, that if virtual machine crashed or did not start, so why it did not start, it's going to give that reason. Guest OS or OS guest diagnostic is just means that you have Windows installed inside the virtual machine or Linux installed inside the virtual machine. So you want the guest diagnostics as well. In case if you want that, so you need to create a storage account that will save then the log files. Log files contain all the information about operating system, what happened at what time, and who did that. So, or what caused some kind of issue if there's an issue. Okay, so I click the disable here for boot diagnostics. And if I go advanced here, so then there are extensions, VM applications, custom data, user data, performance, host, capacity reservation, proximity placement rope. I don't think I will be able to complete that today. So, and even if we complete, we won't be able to create the machine because creating machine takes a little time, and obviously right after creating, we have to delete the machine because the time is over. So we're going to start, because I need to create some examples and diagrams here as well, and we would be able to not finish it. Whatever I can do till 6 more minutes. Then extensions here. These are just small software that you can install. I go for select an extension. So suppose you have purchased a centralized application cloud service for this. So suppose you have purchased Acronis backup software and licenses. So you can, this is the client side. This is just, suppose you have 80 virtual machines that you're deploying. So on each machine, you would want, if you want to do some kind of backup from Acronis software, that is a third-party software. So if you purchase their licenses, so you want to install client. These are all client agents, you can say, or smaller versions or the client side versions of the software if you have purchased any of that. So the main point here is that if you've purchased any of the applications licenses, and do you want any of these to be installed during the creation of the machine? Suppose you've purchased TeamViewer licenses. Do you want TeamViewer to be installed uh, during the creation of the virtual machine? So that's just an extra benefit or help. Virtual machine applications, it says here, VM applications contain application files that are securely and reliably downloaded on your VM after deployment. In addition to the application files, install and uninstall script included in the application. You can easily add or remove applications on your VM after create. Select a VM application to install. Suppose you click that. So are there any applications that you have purchased from the marketplace would appear here, and then you can select that, yes, suppose it's MS Office, suppose it's SQL Server, suppose it's AutoCAD, Photoshop, or any other application. So if you have purchased it, it will appear here, and then you can simply select it and it will download that for you once the operating system is installed. So that's a pretty neat option, but you have to go separate to VM applications, go to marketplace, purchase that, and then it will appear here. And then custom data here, pass a script. This custom data here is basically for pass a script configuration file or other data into the virtual machine while it is being deployed or provisioned. The data will be saved on the VM in a known location. So whatever script you want to run as well while the virtual machine is creating or after the virtual machine is created, you want a script to be run as well, you can just mention all those scripts here. So your image must have a code to support consumption of custom data. So you can't just really put that. Suppose you have created an image of a machine that already has certain settings there. So you should recode that image. So it should support any script that is used here. So for that, they give extra help, Microsoft as well, how to do that. User data. User data here, pass a script, version file, or other data that will be accessible to your applications throughout the lifetime of the virtual machine. Don't use user data for storing your secrets or passwords. It just says that if user profile needs any data, then you want that data, that script to be continuously updated as well later, right? So then you can deploy it. Enable user data, if I click that, so then it says that you want to put some script here that could be also supported throughout the lifetime of the virtual machine. So yeah, you can do that too. So performance here, enable capabilities to enhance the performance of your resources. Higher storage performance with NVMe. So you want some better disks or better hardware underlying your subscription is not registered to use NVMe preview. So it's still in preview. It's still a test thing, and it's not really available for now for use. The thing is that yes, you can have better performing storage added as per your request as well. Right? So guys, then there is host, capacity reservations, and proximity placement are there, which are I need to create some diagrams for that and then discuss that. Anyway, after that, we still have tags, and then it's going to be done. So we don't have to be in rush. So we will be next week. I'll be just going through very quickly, just for a brief, recap of what we discussed last week, which is this right now. So, and then we're going to continue with advanced, but we're going to go for these, and then we're going to create that virtual machine and remotely connect to that virtual machine. I'm going to go do more lab like virtual machine scale set as well as virtual machine load balancing. Lots of labs coming our way. Okay, so Amber says, what was Azure AD based integration in screenshot? Azure AD based integration, that was in screenshot. So was there a screenshot shared, or I'll just go there, identity, and there's an Azure AD. This one. So this just says that if you want your end users in Azure Active Directory to log in from this machine, so this machine, these two options should be selected. So this machine would be joined to the domain, which I need to still confirm if it actually joins the domain. But it says that once these options are selected, we're talking about these options, then these users from Azure Active Directory can actually log in from this machine. If these are not selected, then the users cannot really log in from this virtual machine. So I hope that was the answer to the question, Hammer. And guys, here we're gonna do till here, but then we'll talk about host and capacity reservation and proximity placement as well in detail. So for now, have a nice weekend and just review all the features. Go to YouTube and then check all in detail about this as well. Try to increase your knowledge more and more. Then there are lots of labs coming your way for virtual machines. Guys, so have a nice weekend and see you next week. Unless there are questions. All right, thank you. Have a nice weekend. Bye. 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 Thank you. Bye. Bye.